Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be reviewing and showing you 4 different looks using one palette, which is the Beauty Glazed Color Board palette. I'm going to be reviewing this palette. I'm going to be showing 4 looks on the 4 different trays in this palette, and this is one among those looks. So if you want to know how I created these looks, and if you're interested in knowing more about this palette and also the swatches of every single shade, then please keep on watching. Before which, please take a moment to hit the red color subscribe button right underneath, and also hit the bell notification so that you get notified every single time I upload. Now let's get started. So let me first talk about where I purchased this palette from. I got this palette from Cuffs and Lashes. Their delivery was amazing. I'll leave a link to their website in the description box down below, and I got this for rupees 1999. It was on an offer price. I still see that it's there in that website with the same price, and this is a beautiful palette. This is called the Beauty Glazed Color Board palette. You get 4 different palettes in a single packaging. That's quite handy. I basically got this palette because I haven't really played with colors that much. I was interested in creating more colorful looks, and I found that this had like every single shade that I would ever need to create colorful looks. So I just thought I would buy this. It also has like glitter shades, matte shades, and satin kind of shimmery shades. I really love how this looks. I would be inserting close-ups of how the packaging looks totally, and also I'd be inserting swatches as well. And this particular palette has some amazing colors. So this palette has some amazing colors. If you take greens, they have like from lighter green to deeper green, so that you can create a beautiful ombre kind of a look. They have glitter finishes, they have satin finishes. I've demonstrated like 2 looks having glitter on my eyes. So this look also has glitter on the eyes. You do not need a glitter glue to stick down these glitters. They already have a built-in glue and they stick beautifully. And the wear of these eyeshadows are also beautiful. I really like them. So that was my short review on this palette. I would definitely suggest you to buy this palette if you're looking out for a colorful palette and you want to experiment with colorful eyeshadows and create many colorful looks. This will definitely come in handy. I tried the blue look. That was like the first time I've ever tried blue eyeshadow, and it did come out kind of really well, I must say. If you're a beginner at creating colorful eyeshadow looks, then you can definitely try out this palette. It's a beautiful palette. Now let's move on to the different looks that I've created with this palette, and after which I'll show you the swatches and we'll wrap up this video. Hey guys, the first look is going to be this blue themed look. So I'm priming my eyelids with the help of this Revolution primer, which I'm not a big fan of. It was okay, so I'm blending it out with this brush. It's a fluffy brush, and I'm setting it with the help of this Maybelline Fit Me Loose Powder. I'm starting with a darker shade. I'm using this dark blue shade, and I'm just packing it on my outer V. I'm just concentrating on placing the color, and I'm not going to worry about blending it. I'm just placing the color in my outer V and then slightly dragging it into the crease as well. I'm moving from darker to lighter transition. And now I'm picking up a lighter blue shade than the previous one, and I'm putting it directly in my crease. I'm just placing it. This is a Pro Art PE13 brush, and I'm trying to blend it out slightly, not too much. So I'm just packing it there, and then I'm using a lighter blue shade and using a bigger brush than the previous one, and then I'm packing it on the right above that blue shade that we just applied, so that I can blend that blue out. Now I'm going to be using a really light blue, and I'm just going to blend out all these shades, and I'm using a bigger fluffier brush this time, and then I'm just using it in my crease and blending it out, as you can see. Now I'm moving on to the lid shade. This is not a shimmer shade. It's kind of like a satin shade. For it to show up, you need to wet your brush. I usually go in with my shimmer after wetting my brush with a fixing spray. So I'm just using a wet brush and applying it all over my eyelid, and precisely applying it. I'm just being a little precise with my application, and I'm going back in with the darker blue on my outer V and intensifying it. And now I'm going back with the blue in the crease. Basically, I'm doing everything in the reverse order right now, and I'm blending it with the help of a big fluffy brush with the light blue shade. And that's how my eyeshadow looks like. I'm going to apply lashes and some liner from Color Essence. The lashes are by PAC M72. Now moving on to the lower lash line, I'm using the lighter blue and using it all over my lower lash line. I'm taking it right underneath my lower lash line and blending it out. I'm taking it all the way in, and then I'm using this darker blue shade and I'm tightly packing it on my lower lash line. I'm just stamping it right underneath my lower lash line, and for the inner corner I'm using that light shade, silvery shade, to highlight my inner corner as well as my brow bone. And for lips I'm using this Faces matte lipstick, I guess, in the shade Pretty Sepia, and this is a beautiful neutral shade. It has like this cool undertone to it. And moving on to my final look. So starting off with the purple look, I'm using this Essence I Heart Stage eyeshadow base. This is an excellent eyeshadow base. I'm just blending it out with the help of this big fluffy brush. And I'm not scenting my eyeshadow base this time. I'm just letting it be. So that's the purple palette that I'm going to be using from this color board palette, and taking that dark eggplant purple shade and applying it to the outer V. I'm using like colors that are darker first and then moving on to lighter shades. I'm just packing this color on my outer V and my crease. Next, moving into this shade, it's lighter than the previous shade, and I'm using it right above this darker eggplant shade, and I'm just placing it and slightly blending it as well. So I'm using this motion to kind of place it and then slightly blending it. And moving on to a lighter lilac shade, I'm using it all over my above the crease, I can say, and I'm also blending that color out. And I'm doing the same thing again to increase the pigmentation, going in with the eggplant shade, and this time I'm concentrating on blending it further, and I'm using that lighter shade, and then finally the lilac shade, and I'm using a clean fluffy brush to blend the whole thing out. Now using this shimmery shade, it's sort of a satin shade. I wet the brush with a fixing spray and I'm using it all over the eyelid. This is not intense, like you can see it's a very subtle shimmer shade. Even though you wet it, you don't get that PAM pigmentation, but it does look really beautiful. Now I'm again intensifying the matte colors using the eggplant shade and packing it really nicely, and then the lighter shade and the lilac shade, so that everything looks blended. So that's how my top lid looks like, and I'm using M72 lashes by PAC and mascara. And moving on to the lower lash line, I'm packing that eggplant shade with the help of a tight definer brush. This is by Morphe, and I'm just packing that color on my lower lash line and using the lighter shade to blend this out. This is the shade that I used in my crease, and I'm blending it out. Now I'm using this Faces Canada Intense Kajal, And for my inner corner, I'm using this highlighting shade, and also I'm using the same shade on my brow bone, using the Total Temptation mascara on my lower lashes. And that's the final look. Moving on to lips, I'm using the Lakme Lip and Cheek color in the shade Nude Cushion, and I will be topping it off with a Wet n Wild High Shine lip gloss in the shade Cedar later, and that completes the look. Moving on to the green look, so I'm using the green palette from the Color Board palette. So I'm using this Essence High Heart Stage eyeshadow base. I really like this base. It just works beautifully. I'm just blending it out with the help of this brush, and I'm not setting my base. Using that deep dark green shade, I'm going to go on my outer corner of the eye. I'm just going to place it as usual and worry about blending later on. So I'm just placing it on the outer corner and slightly using it in the crease as well. Now I'm moving on to a lighter green shade, and I'm going to use this on my crease directly. Again, I'm placing the shade and I'm worrying about blending later on. So I'm just placing it directly in my crease, and I'm not going above my crease whatsoever. Moving on to this lighter green shade, this is a sort of different green, and I'm using that directly in my transition area. I'm packing the color so that I can actually see the transition. I want this color to show up on my transition area. So I'm just packing the color, and then I'm blending it slowly. Now I'm going to go back in with those deep dark colors that I used in my outer V and crease. So just building it up on my outer V again, because we lost some color when we blended it out. Again, going back in with the lighter green shade that we used in the crease and blending it nicely. And again moving on to the lighter green shade, and I'm using it in the transition area and blending it out. Now I'm using a clean blending brush to blend everything really nicely so that there's a smooth transition between the colors. And now I'm moving on to that lighter shimmery green shade. It's sort of a satin shade. I wet my brush as usual, and I'm using it on my lid space directly, and I'm just kind of doing fake cut crease, and I'm using it all over my eyelid, applying it precisely. And I had to go back in with this shade once or twice to build up the intensity, but at the end I did build it up and it did look really nice. And then going back in with the deeper darker shade to blend the shimmer and the matte together, and then going back in with the lighter green shade in my crease, and finally that transition shade that we used. And this time I just decided to do a little bit, a different sort of a thing, and I decided to go in with this yellow, bright pop of yellow in my transition area to further blend out the green. This kind of gave it a nice you know look to the entire green eyes. And then I'm using a deeper darker green shade directly on my outer V to bring even more depth. Now I'm using this M72 Lashes by PAC and that Essence mascara to finish off my top lid, and then on my lower lid I'm using that deep dark green shade and tightly packing it right up against my lash line. Then I'm going to be using the lighter green shade as usual to blend this out and connect it to the upper eyelid, the outer, outer corner of the upper eyelid, and blending the whole thing out. And I also decided to use the same bright yellow shade, like a pop of inner corner highlight. I just wanted to do this so badly. And then I'm using the highlighter that I used on my face to highlight my brow bone. You can use any highlighter, any face highlighter to do this step. And for lips, I'm using the Miss Claire number 63, and I'm lining my lips with the same lip shade. I actually have a whole swatch video on this. You can check it out. It was a little bit too dark for my liking, so I went in with this Nykaa So cream lipstick. Again, I have a full review on this. I'm blotting the excess out and finishing off my lower lash line with a nice coat of mascara. Also, I decided to apply this face's kajal, and that's the final eye look. As usual, I'm starting off with the Essence I Heart Stage eyeshadow base, and I'm using that and packing it on my eyelid with the help of this buffer brush. I'm packing it and I'm not dragging the color to get intense payoff. Now moving on to our orange palette, this is a beautiful color selection, you guys. It looks extremely gorgeous and vibrant. I'm going to pick that shade up, which is like an orangish reddish shade, and I'm going to use it on my outer V. So in these looks, I'm following the same technique of using deeper colors first and then blending it and building it up to the lighter colors in my crease and my transition. So that's what I'm doing. I'm packing up the deeper color in my crease and my outer V and picking up that lighter color, and I'm going to use it directly into my crease, and I'm just going to pack it and then worry about blending later on, because I want that vibrant orange color in my crease to show up nicely. So I'm just packing it, and now you'll see me blending it out nicely so that we get a smooth transition. Now I'm picking that beautiful yellow shade. This is like a warm yellow shade. It's not like a vibrant yellow. I'm using that to get like that sunset sort of an effect, and I'm using it in my transition area, blending it nicely in my transition area. Now going back in with the deeper color and my crease color to intensify the pigmentation, because we lost some while we blended it out. Again, going back in with that yellow shade to get maximum pigmentation. I want that yellow to peek through. Now I'm using a big fluffy brush to blend the whole thing out to give a very nice smooth transition. Going back with that deeper shade, I wanted to intensify and deepen up my outer V, so I went in with that deep orangey rusty shade on my outer V so that my crease is nice and deep. And moving on to that shimmer shade, it's actually a satin shade. This is a true orange shade. It's not a copper shade. It's a beautiful orange shimmery satiny shade, and I had to go in with a couple of layers. I had to change my brush because it wasn't working, so I had to build in a couple of layers, carve out my crease with the help of that shade, intensify it nicely, apply it wet, apply it dry. So I just had to work a little hard with the shimmer, but in the end it did look really nice. And that's how the shimmer looks like once applied. Moving on to lashes, I'm using the PAC M72 lashes like I did in all the other looks, and a mascara. Moving on to the lower lash line, I'm using that deeper rusty shade and packing it directly on my lower lash line, stamping it nicely to get intense payoff.
Now I'm blending it out with the help of that lighter orange shade, and I will also be buffing it nicely and connecting it to the upper outer V, so that it looks one and it doesn't look like a separate thing going on the lower lash line. So here you'll see me connecting it. And moving on to kajal, I'm using this Faces Magnetized Kajal. This is a beautiful jet black intense kajal, and it's also affordable. As you can see, it looks extremely nice in jet black. Moving on to the lower lash line mascara, I'm using the same Essence mascara on my lower lash line and coating it nicely. And for my inner corner highlight, I used that beautiful golden sort of a highlighting shade on my inner corner. It wasn't that vibrant, but it did look beautiful, using the same thing on my brow bone. And that's my eyes complete. And then now we're going to be adding the glitter. Now for glitter, what I do recommend is that use it as the last step. Since we don't have a glitter glue or anything, you can actually apply this directly, and that's how the glitter looks like. You don't need a glitter glue, it looks beautiful. And for lipstick, I'm using this Sugar Nothing Else Matters lipstick. I'm sorry, I'm out of frame, and this is the shade 19 Flame High. It's a beautiful orange shade and it goes so well with the entire look. And that's my look complete.
with that, we come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed the 4 different looks and also the swatches of this palette. I've worked so hard on this video. I took like 4 different weeks and filmed 4 different looks because my eyes are sensitive. I cannot remove eyeshadow, apply it again, remove eyeshadow and apply it again. I cannot do that. So I had to film 4 different looks like in 4 different weeks. Like every Saturday or Sunday I would film a look. So it's taken like that long to film this video, and I've put together all the 4 different looks in a single video for you guys. So I hope you really found this useful. I hope you enjoyed it. I've worked really hard on this video, so please if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up, and also do not forget to subscribe to my channel for more such interesting reviews, more reviews on foundation, more reviews on lip products and stuff. So do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification. That way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time in another interesting video. Until then, take care. Tata, bye bye.